Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? Wait for a few people to show up. Kind of a live stream out of nowhere, but has some boxing on my mind. So wait for a few to show up and talk about a few fights that's been on my mind, man, that I've seen that are scheduled. Lawrence Williams was good. How you doing, Lawrence? I've been checking you out, man. Been checking out your channel. You guys go subscribe to Lawrence Williams. Very educated boxing fan. You know, he can go back to the 80s and 90s and 70s, you know what I mean? So, um, really good to converse with boxing fans that can take it that far back, you know what I mean? Dimitri Cowan, what's up? What's up, man? I'm gonna make this real quick, man. For those of you that are gonna show up um, during this live stream, you guys can go on the archives, click on it, you know what I mean? You can catch it like that. Vince, what's good? Hey, Vince, man. Speaking of, I see Vince in the showed up in the chat. I was checking out some stuff on YouTube, man, watching you work out with your partner. Forgot the dude's name, man, but y'all was working out, getting ready for. I think y'all was trying to go to Mexico to hoop. Forgot your partner name, though, man. X File player, what's up? But you guys were doing ball handling drills and stuff like that. The brother almost looked like he was like, could have been like half black, half Mexican. I forgot his name, though, man. I was watching some stuff on you today, watching some Drew League highlights. Roderick Thompson was good. All right, y'all. I'm gonna make this real quick, man. I see people showing up now. God of War, Leo Donald was good. Yeah, body. Yeah, Vince. It was Aaron. Yep, it was Aaron Perez. Yep. And I know the footage was old, but I was just watching some stuff, watching some summer league stuff. All right, let me get to this boxing talk real quick, y'all. Three fights I want to talk about real quick. And I wrote down some stuff so I won't lose my train of thought. Obviously, David Price versus Kash Ali, Arreola versus Jean-Pierre Augustine, and I want to talk about EVGENY Romanov versus Dylan Carmen. Yes, Romanov, the guy that stopped Deontay Wilder in the amateurs. All right, I want to talk about these three fights briefly. Okay, let's start with well, let me save the David Price for Cash Ali last. All right, let's start with Romanov, the guy that beat Wilder in the amateurs that stopped him versus Dylan Carmen. All right, this fight is going to take place February 22nd. Um, so the fight is approaching. You know, Romanov is a guy, he's 11-0 with 8 knockouts. He fought Wilder way back in the amateurs, but he only turned pro. He turned pro in 2016, all right? He is a short heavyweight, about 6 feet, about 225 pounds. Come forward. He's a solid, steady, compact type of short fighter, all right? He wants to work the high guard, kind of catch your punches with his high guard. He wants to dig to the body, throw overhands. All right, he's in really good shape. That's one thing I can say about him that I watched his fights on YouTube here. Um, you know, he's the type of guy. He's fought some journeymen, Dennis Bachtoff and Marcelo Nascimento. You know, guys that have fought Anthony Joshua and Dillion White and Ustinov and Char. You know, those type of journeymen that kind of do the round robin that fight some of everybody. So he's fought those types of guys. Uh, doesn't really show me a lot of head movement. His defense is more just deflecting punches with his gloves out of the high guard. He likes to parry. You know what I mean? But doesn't really show a lot of good head movement. Seems like a steady, solid body puncher, come forward type of guy in excellent shape. One consistent thing I can say about him that's consistent is his weight and being in shape. Since 2016, he's pretty much weighed the same, give or take a few pounds here or there, but he's always shown up in really good shape. Obviously, he has the amateur background. The fight will be, believe it's in Russia. Now, Dylan Carmen. Some of you may know Dylan Carmen from when he fought. Yes, I think Razor Ruddock was like 51 or 52 years old when he got in the ring and fought him. All right, but those of you that know more about him, you know that he's fought Silveira Luis. He fought him twice. He actually lost to him, and then he beat him in a rematch, blew him out in the first round. Um, Eric Martin Baholi, they had a nice little slugfest. Baholi actually fought Lucas Brown before. They had a nice little slugfest. Carmen and Baholi did. Um, Carmen did lose to Mladen Malas, who's an undefeated Canadian prospect, believe he's 10-0 with 10 knockouts or 11-0 with 11 knockouts. But if you watch that fight with Carmen, yes, he did stop him. In that fight, they shared a double knockdown. It was the shit was crazy, man. Go watch Mladen is Mladen versus Carmen and watch the double knockout. And actually, I believe Carmen got up first, but then he ended up getting stopped. And the reason why I thought he got stopped because he got punched, but he was out of shape for the fight. That's one thing about Carmen that I think Romanov has over him is more consistency with their weight and being in shape. Sometimes Dylan Carmen shows up and he's not in shape at all. You know what I mean? Then he'll come into fights where he's 230 pounds, he's in good shape. And when you got heavyweights in there throwing like that, man, anything can happen. Um, Now, Dylan Carmen's last fight, I believe it was his last fight, he fought Simon Keane, who was at the time, I believe, 15-0 Canadian prospect. He was a former Olympian. I actually picked Keane to beat Carmen, and Carmen got him out of there. He came in shape, and he got him out of there. So it was a mild upset. Now, I say all that to say this. Uh, I think it's a good fight. It just depends on how Dylan Carmen shows up, man. If he shows up in shape around 230, he has the reach and height advantage. Um, he has a nice uppercut, a nice right hand. He's just a big dude. When they get to start throwing punches, man, anything can happen. But he does have a lot of heart. He doesn't lack heart. All right, so uh, I think it's a good competitive, obviously a low key type of matchup, right? Some of you guys probably don't have a clue who I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But you guys know these are type of fights and fighters that I follow and I like. It's not just all about the Joshua Fury Ortiz. There's some guys that's trying to work their way up, man. But I like this fight right here. I like Romanov versus Carmen. I think it's a good fight. Romanov, I think he'll fight the style that he's always fought. Sometimes he can go right hand crazy. Um, I think he's going to come forward, and this is a good opportunity for Dylan Carmen to walk him in the shots, throw something through that high guard, force a fast paced type of fight. You know what I mean? You have to use maximum effort. You know what I mean? In a fight like this and raise the intensity level. And let's see Romanov get out of his shell a little bit. That shell of putting the high guard up, coming forward, pecking away with the jab, and trying to dig body shots. Let's see when he gets punched in the face, when he gets pushed backwards, when the body shots, when he can't land them as effectively if he wants to. What happens when you turn them? What happens, you know what I mean? Try to force that type of fight. All right. So I think it's a good fight. It's taking place February 22nd. Um, Now another fight that's going to take place March 16th. I see it's on BoxRec. Chris Arreola versus Jean-Pierre Augustin. Augustine is 17-0 with the one draw. The guy who he did have the draw with, he did come back and beat that guy in the next fight. I believe it was the next fight or the fight after, but he did rematch the guy and beat him. Something that I wanted Jarrell Miller to do with Joey Daweko. A lot of people talk about Jarrell Miller's undefeated record, which he is. He hasn't lost a fight, but they forget to mention that draw he had with Joey Daweko. And Daweko's a tough. He's a tough out. You may look at BoxRec and look at his height and his size, his and his weight. You may think not might you might not think much of him, but he was a good amateur. So on and so forth. I wish Miller would have cleaned that up. You know what I mean, earlier in his career. But whatever, he's fighting Anthony Joshua, all right? But Augustine was able to do that, and that's something that I noticed on his record. Now he's about 6'4", 230 pounds. He was born in Haiti. I know he training up in Boston. I know he was training out in Louisville, different places. You know what I mean? So not too much footage of him on YouTube. I know he's a southpaw, about 6'4", 230. Uh, just from what I've seen, though, he likes to come forward. He will bounce back and forth, coming forward, getting out, using his jab, trying to land the left hand. But when he gets inside, he likes to he's susceptible to just holding. You know what I mean? To being held and wanting to clinch and rest. Chris Arreola, he is 30 now. Augustine is 31. Chris Arreola is 37, 38 years old. He was on the Wilder Fury undercard. For those of you that's been following me, I went to that fight, Wilder and Fury. But that was the fight. I got there for the undercard fights, the non-televised fights, but I missed Arreola versus Marenzo Smith. All right, so we did pick up a victory. I believe Marenzo Smith didn't come out for the 6th or 7th round, something like that. I forget. You can look it up on BoxRec. I didn't see any footage of the fight, but one thing I did notice is Chris Arreola did come in around 245. All right, so that's great for him, because Arreola, sometime, as we know, can come in at 263 and 270 and 2. You know what I mean? So I think this is his last run, his last hurrah, so to speak. So he's trying to work his way up before he gets a fight against a notable guy. You know what I mean? Whether that's a fringe contender or a guy that's working his way up. Um, I will say this though, man. Augustine, when he gets in close, he's going to have to put the vice grip on Chris Arreola because Chris Arreola uh, does a good job in spurts where he can fight out of a clinch and he wants to fight in close. He wants you right there in front of him so he can have a slugfest. You know what I mean? He wants to land punches. Chris Arreola thing isn't to bounce around on the outside, circle, use a jab, set you up, pot shot. No, put the high guard up, come straight forward, get in your chest. You know what I mean? Um, so I see Chris Arreola winning this one, man. Like Augustine, he may surprise me. He may, you know, use his southpaw stance to his advantage. Probably try to turn Chris, but he doesn't really seem like an outside outboxer type of guy. He doesn't have an extremely amount of high. I think he's 17-0 with 11 or 12 knockouts. Somebody can look it up somewhere in there. But he's fought all types of journeymen. Um, I think Chris Arreola has enough to get the victory. All right, now scheduled for 10 rounds. Okay, so to me, a fight like this will heat up just like the first fight, just like all three of these fights I'm gonna talk about. Really, all of these fights going to heat up around that third, fourth round, man, based on styles, based on just being big ass heavyweights in there, and based on what type of pace is set for these types of fights. All right, now Arreola, I have seen him get guys in high pace type of fights, whether he won or lost. You know what I mean? So um, obviously Augustine has, you know, hasn't he's not as war torn as Chris Arreola. He hasn't been in a lot of wars, bloodbaths, things of that nature. All right. So maybe Chris can, put him in a territory in tough terrain that he's never faced before. All right, but that going back in straight lines, like I said, Augustine do, and just wanting to hold on the inside while standing straight up, with your chin out, can get him in trouble. All right, Chris Arreola again. Sometimes he doesn't let his hands go enough. Sometimes he gets into a continuity where he just puts his hands up and lets you get off. Then he'll try to get off. So should be an interesting fight. Obviously, if Augustine wins this fight, his profile goes up. He is a guy that has a win over Chris Arreola. If Arreola wins, it will just be another victory against an undefeated, unknown commodity. But again, it's still a win. All right. So it's his first fight of 2019. Augustine, I don't think Augustine even fought in 2018. You guys can look some of this stuff up on BoxRec. I looked at it briefly like last week, but um, I don't think he fought in 2018. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, man. But interesting fight, to say the least. All right, and that's taking place March 16th on the Spence Garcia undercard. Now, Gregory Corbin texted me the other day, and he told me that he's also fighting on the Spence Garcia undercard against Charles Martin. So if they can have these heavyweight fights on there, I think it'd be great, man. Good look for the heavyweight division. Let me see. I see you guys coming. I'm gonna get to you guys questions in a second, man. And then last but not least, March 30th, David Price versus Cash Ali. All right, now I've heard of Cash Ali. All right, we back. All right, we are back. We are back. We are back. Okay, jumped off for a minute, but we back, man. All right. Like I was saying, David Price versus Cash Ali. I've heard of Cash Ali before. 14-0, has 6 or 7 knockouts. So now he's the type of dude, man. He's 27 years old, stands about 6'4", 6'5", somewhere in there, 250-pound dude. Um, Now although his KO percentage is around 50%, somewhere around there, he fights in a very aggressive manner. Okay. Now he's another guy that he's fought journeyman type of guys, right? He's fought the the Paul Butlins of the world and Kamil Sokolowski's. Um, Ironically, David Price fought Sokolowski and struggled with him, in my opinion. And Sokolowski fought a tough fight against Cash Ali. Hey, Sokolowski's one of them dudes, just off topic for a second. He's one of them journeymen, man. If you go to BoxRec real quick and look at his record, you'll be like, oh, dude's a bum. Look at his record. But then you actually watch him fight some of these dudes that have higher names. He gives them a tough go, man. But anyways, Cash Ali fights in a very aggressive manner. He put Paul Butlin to sleep. There's a few guys I've seen him just beat down. You know what I mean? But in a fight like this between Price and Cash Ali, my guess would be that based on their styles, based on I'm not sure how these guys will fare in because this fight is scheduled for 10 rounds. We've seen David Price have success against Christian Hammer early in the fight, put him down, buzz him, and then run out of gas and get stopped by Christian Hammer. We've seen him get knocked out. You know, we've seen a lot from David Price, the good, bad, and the ugly, right? He hurt Povetkin, stunned him. They even counted as a knockdown, legit punch that hurt Povetkin, and then he gets stopped. You know what I mean? Then his last fight was it not the last his last fight or maybe, but the fight with Kuzman is what I'm getting to. The fight with Kuzman, he doesn't come out because he, you know, something about it. I believe it was his bicep or try, you know, something with his arm, right? So I believe in this fight, man, somebody's going to get left supine or prone, meaning they're going to be face up looking at the canvas or face down buried in the canvas. I think somebody's going to get knocked out. I'm calling this fight supine or prone. That's how I think somebody's going to get left. But it's a good entertaining. I think it's going to be a good entertaining fight based on styles. Now, David Price, unlike Cash Ali, in my opinion, right? I believe that he's more. He has more than one dimension to his game. Now, I've seen David Price in the Sokolowski fight. Hold on, let me try to fix this. I've seen damn. Oh well, we got to deal with it for right now. I've seen David Price you know, hold on man, this is bothering me. Let me get this real quick, y'all. All right. I've seen David Price fight off the back foot a little bit, like he did against Sokolowski. Even the post-fight review, I said he looked like a watered-down version of Tyson Fury. He can fight in those rhythms and manners when he's pecking away with the jab and, you know, fighting with his hands at his waist, a la Larry Holmes or something. He's trying to, you know, look like Tyson Fury a little bit. Then, but I like when he fights tall and pivots and turns and kind of parries with his guard up and stick the jab out there and probe with it and throw the left hook off of it. I like when he fights like that. You know what I mean? But Cash Ali is going to come forward. He's going to be there to hit. And if you're there for David Price to land flush on, anything can happen because that dude can crack. There's one thing about David Price I won't take away from him is he can punch hard. You know what I mean? So, but Cash Ali right now has the momentum. He has a motor. Both of these guys were active in 2018. I think his hunger may get him over the top. And it just, David Price right now is on a downhill as far as his career, as far as when he, gets these types of fights, man. So I'm a favor Cash Ali in this fight. It wouldn't surprise me if Price was able to land something. Again, like the other two fights I talked about, it's going to be interesting going into that third, fourth round if they go that long. This fight's scheduled for 10. I think Cash Ali is a very aggressive guy, untested, obviously, but he had, he shown some promise putting guys asleep in his fights. I know it's against journeyman level guys, but still shown that he can punch. You know what I mean? Now he's another guy when he gets pushed backwards, he put the high guard up and he stands straight tall. Then when he gets on it, that's one thing, he has to stay off the ropes against Price. Stay off the ropes and at least try to pivot to the left or the right. Turn. Don't just go back in straight lines with the high guard up, right in line for a straight right hand from David Price. All right. Maybe he wants to go in there and try to overwhelm David Price and force him into, again, a high pace type of fight. Test that stamina. Test his stamina. Price needs to come in good shape. If he comes in around that 250-ish, I like that. I like that David Price, not the 275, 270 David Price. And I know one time when he gained all that weight, he was saying, trying to put the weight on for his chin, which was crazy. You know what I mean? I never heard of weight helping your chin out. Now I do agree that if you try to cut a whole bunch of weight and you're trying to make a certain weight limit, well then yeah, you need that weight. You know what I mean? But he's a heavyweight. He's not trying to get down to light heavyweight or cruiserweight or nothing like that. All right, so he needs to just be in the best shape that he can be in, and let that right hand go, man. Let his right hand go. Mix it up against Cash Ali. Use some of what you did against Sokolowski as far as the footwork and the rhythms that you're fighting in, but then also sit down on them big right hands. Show him that you're the general in the ring with that jab. you know. So just my opinion on those three fights, man. Let me see what everybody's talking about real quick. Yes, Leo Donna, I did see Brown versus Sokolowski as potential warm up for the Dave Allen fight. I'm telling you, man, Lucas Brown better not look at him like he's a warm up. He better not get, um, he better not underestimate Sokolowski by looking at that record, man. I'm telling you, man. You guys ain't seen the guy fight. He's not going to jump off the screen at you, but he's a lot tougher than that record indicates. Yes, he's one of those journeymen, one of those Avery Gibson type of dudes. You know what I mean? Dago 619, Cali Factor was good, man. Leo Dono, okay. Leo Dono says March 2nd looking a good night of heavyweight action. Junior Fa, Hemi the Heat Ahio, George Arias all on the same bill. Also Ortiz, Hammer, and Cabello versus Rodenko. In this one, Lee, I'm not going to talk about all the fights. This one I'm trying to save some content for some other videos I want to do. So just want to really talk about these three and those other fights. I do know about those fights, and I'm going to cover those, Lee, just on other videos, man. Just trying to give myself some content. Don't want to talk about just everything in one live stream. You know what I mean? Right hook boxing was good. He says, "Good to see you, mate. Was literally just catching up on your last live video. Appreciate that, man. More to come." Lawrence Williams says, "Didn't Carmen stop Razor Ruddock a couple years ago?" Yes, he did. Lawrence, he stopped the old Razor Ruddock. But nonetheless, he got in there and stopped him. You know what I mean? It's not his fault that Razor tried to pick him out the bunch for somebody to come back and fight. You know what I mean? But yes, he did stop Razor. Uh, Lawrence also says Augustine can box a little bit. If he can take Arreola's power, he might beat him. Yeah, he can take his power, force him, and get Arreola into that rhythm of, like, the rhythm that Arreola fought against like Thomas Adamek, right? Put good hand speed on him, turn him. Hand speed on him, turn him. Even Wilder was able to use the jab and turn him and, keep Arreola with that high guard. Arreola, man, even though he lost to Stavern in both fights, I believe it was the second fight where he was doing pretty well, maybe before he got stopped. You know what I mean? He was putting combinations together, moving, but then Arreola gets into points where he'll get into a war. Like, look at the fight he had with Curtis Harper. Arreola's one of them type of dude that he'll find a way to get into a war sometimes. Even with guys that you may view as guys that should be rated under him. Leo Dono says, or Lewis Hidden was good, man. Leo Dono says this Char versus Kendall business needs to end now once and for all. Yes, please give my man Freza Kendall his WBA regular title shot. Please. This has been going on for 5 years where he was supposed to get this rematch. Because remember when he fought Chigaev, they fought for the vacant strap. And I believe it was a majority decision win for Chigaev, but it was a very close, tight fight that I actually watched. Um, it wasn't a barn burner, you know what I mean? But I did watch that fight. And you guys know the history of it. For those of you that don't know, the reason that Kendall's in his position for this regular title is because he had a rematch for Chigaev. Then Fred started to encounter all these setbacks with injuries. Um, his opponent had failed drug tests and all this type of stuff. It's literally been going on for 5 years, man. You guys can go read up on it. I did countless videos about it. But yeah, you know what I mean? And the WBA, I hope they eradicate these titles like they promised to us a couple summers ago. Some of you guys don't probably even remember that. But yeah, they came out. The president of the WBA said that they're going to eradicate these minor titles. That's when they set up that tournament that they're trying to make, where they had that WBA tournament, man, where one side of the bracket had Chigaya versus Brown. The winner of that was going to take on, I forget top of my head right now, man. I believe the winner was supposed to take on somebody. Then the other half of the bracket had this one, Fury and Klitschko were supposed to fight for the rematch, but it never took place. Those two fighting, and then the winner, I believe, were to fight Ortiz. All right, but this was so long ago, and the tournament went to hell, went to shits anyway. So please get rid of this interim shit and get rid of this regular. It's just, it confuses fans. We as fans know that Manuel Char is not the heavyweight champion. Okay, I don't know who you're fooling. And nothing against Manuel Charters. Is it's nothing against him, and nothing against Trevor Bryan, who holds the interim title. Nothing against you guys. I know that it was a good accomplishment in your career, so on and so forth. But as a fan, we know you guys aren't the heavyweight champion. And I think deep down, you guys know you're not the heavyweight champion. But technically, I guess to the WBA, you are. You know, whatever that for whatever that is worth. D Obley and Newly, what's up, man? Dago619 says, God is my witness, my homie can get me in there to spar with Chris Arreola. That's what's up, man. So you can go to that gym. What gym does he spar at? Renique313. What up though? All the way from Detroit, man. Midwest love up in here. What up though, Renique? Heavyweight boxing fan. What's good, man? He says Jean-Pierre Augustine is dangerous. Good southpaw. I just haven't seen heavyweight boxing fan. I just haven't seen enough footage on him. I've seen some training stuff. I seen him make this Mexican guy he was fighting. I seen him make him quit. And I seen another fight that he had where he was kind of moving on his feet well, showing some good agility, um, good left hand, good quickness. You know what I mean? You never know, man. It's fight like these that you never know what's going to happen. So I'm very interested in this fight. D. Obi Newly says Areola Price ain't doing anything in boxing except being fed to up and comers. It's time for them to sit down. They are getting fed to up and coming guys. Areola more is on a Price. I think more is getting fed to those type of guys because he keeps losing every time. You know what I mean? Areola more is on a comeback trail. But yes, he is fighting undefeated guys, so we'll see what happens. Mala2243, what's up, man? He says, I can't believe Price is still fighting. He is tragic to watch. I hope Price's trying to think of the word to use. I hope his vanity doesn't get him in trouble. And I know professional athletes, especially fighters, can be egotistical and they can have a different outlook on themselves than me or you may have on them. But sometimes their vanity can get them in trouble. And I never want anybody to walk away from this sport not having all their faculties. So hopefully, he steps away from the game before it's too late. But he's a grown man, and who are we to tell him what he should and shouldn't do to make a coin? You know what I mean? So, but I understand what you're saying, though, man. All these KO losses, and they're so packed together too. It's not like he got knocked out 3 years ago and then 2 years prior to that. I mean, they're damn near like chop chop, like you know what I mean? Every other fight he's getting prone or supine in the ring. You know what I mean? Arjun Gunnaby says, imagine if Kash worked on conditioning more. Very aggressive fighter. He's a very aggressive fighter, man. Very aggressive guy. Chicago's very own. Shout out to the Chi-Town, Windy City. Says Parker versus Chisora on work. I'm gonna get to that. I heard about that one. There's a few fights I'm gonna get to, y'all, but just more get to that probably in a later one. Dr. Insanity was good. He says West Coast Cali. Cali love up in here, man. Shouts out to Cali. Lawrence Williams said the WBA regular belt is a curse. Yes, it is, man. It's like every time that damn belt. How many, Lawrence, if you know this off the top of your head, bro, let me know, because I know a few of them, but either before the fight or after the fight, when it comes to that WBA, it's always some type of drug testing issue all the time, man. Manual Charges had one. I know they went back and said something about his B sample, but just his situation, right? There's all types of situations with this title, man. Shannon Briggs, when he was scheduled to fight, when he had his asthma medicine or whatever that allegedly had him fail this test. Then you Lucas Brown, and then it's just every other fight, man. Then after the Lucas Brown Chigaya fight, Lucas Brown is just always something with this. And then all the injuries, couple that with all the injuries that Okendo's been having, it's either an injury or drug testing. It's like burn that damn belt, man. Go to the San Francisco, Go to San Francisco and throw that shit off the bridge, man. Damn, getting sick of that title. Dago619 says he got Joe Joyce stopping Stavern. How about you? Same here. I touched on that briefly, but I'm a Dago. I'm going to give that fight its own video and really break it down, bro. But just to be quick with you, yeah. I'm going with Joyce by stoppage, man. Yeah. Appreciate y'all, man. Saying I'm the best heavyweight channel on the web. I really appreciate that, man. You guys like my analysis. That's much appreciated. Deep Deep Hog says, yeah, let's hope his vanity doesn't lead to him insanity. Yeah, man. Vanity will get you sometimes, man. You know. But hey, man, I appreciate you guys showing up. Uh, Again, going to get back into the rhythm, making these videos. You know, but appreciate all you guys showing up. Be back in the next couple days here, man. Talk about all those fights you guys been mentioning. Parker, Chisura, um, Joe Joyce versus Stavern. You know, so we're gonna get to all that, man. We're gonna get to all that. We ain't gotta do it in one setting. You know what I mean? We're not gonna do it in one setting. We gonna break everything down. Because I like to give some of these fights its own proper video so I can really break it down. You know what I mean? But I appreciate you guys showing up to this unexpected live stream. Vince, salute to you, bro. Probably be communicate with you the next couple of days here. So man, so I appreciate you showing up as well. Y'all be easy. I see somebody telling me about an interview with Joyce, saying how horrible a person Stavern is. I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna get to all the interviews, see what both guys are saying, try to catch some training clips and footage, and we're gonna take it from there, man. But until then, y'all be easy, man. I'm gone.